Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. You know we love to go deep on a topic, and today we're diving into personal development.
Becoming the best version of yourself.
Right. Yes, exactly. And we've got a whole stack of sources here.
Books, articles, podcasts. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
a bit overwhelming, honestly. So we're going to try to break down the really key ideas and insights from all of this about, self-awareness, goal setting, mindfulness,
Resilience, habit formation, continuous learning.
the whole shebang. So,
We're going to try to distill it down to the stuff you can actually use.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it is a lot to cover, but one thing that jumped out at me from like every single source was this emphasis on self-awareness. Like that's the foundation.
Yeah, it is the starting point, isn't it?
Right. It's like, yeah, have you ever felt like you're just kind of going through the motions, just on autopilot?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And that's where the self-awareness comes in.
Yeah, and it's not just like you know who you are. It's about truly understanding your strengths and weaknesses, what you value, what your goals are.
But you're good at what you're not so good at.
Exactly. Even those blind spots we all have.
Oh, yeah, totally. And it's kind of scary when you think about it
A little bit, yeah.
because like one of the sources even said that without self-awareness, all the other personal development stuff could just be a waste of time.
Oh, wow. So it's crucial then.
Right. You got to start with knowing yourself. And these sources suggest all sorts of cool techniques for figuring that out, like journaling, for example.
Oh, yeah. Journaling can be really powerful.
I actually tried it, thought it was kind of a woo-woo thing at first,
Right.
but it actually helped me realize like, wow, I am way more stressed than I thought.
Interesting. Just the act of getting your thoughts and feelings down on paper can help you see those patterns.
Yeah, and identify your triggers.
Yeah, and like figure out why you react the way you do in certain situations.
Exactly. And another thing the sources talked about was clarifying your values.
Oh, yeah. Values are huge.
Like if you don't know what's important to you, how can you even make decisions that are like, in line with who you are?
It's like having a compass, but not knowing which way is north.
Totally. So you've got to have that self-awareness first, but then what?
Well, then the sources really emphasize setting goals.
Okay, so it's not just enough to kind of know yourself. You've actually got to have a plan.
Right, because goals provide that roadmap.
So it's not just a wish list. It's about actually making things happen.
And not just any old goals. These sources are all about SMART goals.
SMART.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay, so it's not just like, oh, I want to learn to code. It's like, I will complete this specific Python course
By this date, yes.
and dedicate this much time each week.
Exactly, you're making it concrete.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it takes the guesswork out of it.
But even with like the perfect plan, life happens, things get in the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And that's where this idea of resilience comes in, like being able to bounce back from those challenges.
Absolutely, resilience is so important.
But how do you actually become more resilient?
Well, one source suggests this really cool mindset shift from I can't to I can learn.
I love that.
Yeah, it's about seeing those obstacles as opportunities to grow.
So it's not about avoiding problems altogether, but having the tools to deal with them.
Exactly. You're going to face challenges. It's how you approach them that makes the difference.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've got self-awareness goals, resilience, and then there's this whole thing about mindfulness.
Oh, yeah. Mindfulness is huge these days.
Have you ever felt like your brain is like a web browser with like a million tabs open?
All the time.
Yeah, me too. And that's where mindfulness can supposedly help.
It can. It really can. And it's basically about being present.
Like focusing on what's happening right now.
Exactly. Instead of worrying about the past or stressing about the future.
So like actually savoring that first sip of coffee.
Yes. Instead of scrolling through your phone while you drink it.
Oh man, I am so guilty of that.
We all are. It's so easy to get distracted.
But how do you actually like do mindfulness? Is it just like sitting on a mountaintop meditating?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be that intense.
Okay.
There are lots of different techniques, like meditation is a big one.
Right.
But even simple breathing exercises can help.
Really just breathing.
Yeah, just taking a few deep breaths can make a world of difference.
I have to try that.
One source even recommends setting reminders throughout the day.
Like on your phone?
Yeah, just to pause for a few seconds, breathe deeply, and check in with yourself.
Okay. So bite-sized mindfulness.
Exactly, little moments of presence throughout your day.
I like that because that seems a lot easier to fit into a busy schedule.
It definitely is.
So, okay, we've got self-awareness goals, resilience, mindfulness. Are we missing anything?
Well, there's one more biggie that all these sources talk about.
Okay, hit me with it.
Emotional intelligence.
Ooh, that sounds important.
It is, and it's not just about understanding your own emotions.
Right.
It's also about being tuned in to the feelings of other people.
So like empathy.
Exactly. And this can be a game changer for your relationships, both personal and professional.
Oh, wow. So like understanding your partner better, your coworkers, your friends.
Yeah, it's about building stronger connections and having less misunderstandings.
That sounds like a superpower
It kind of is, and one source even described it as like speaking another language.
because you can communicate more effectively.
Exactly, you're able to understand and respond to people on a deeper level.
I like that a lot. All right, so we've got self-awareness goals, resilience, mindfulness, and emotional intelligence. That's a lot.
It is a lot, but it's all connected.
Right, it's like all these different pieces that fit together to create this, this better version of yourself.
Exactly, and the journey is just beginning.
Okay, we're just getting started, but we've got to take a break. So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into personal development.
Okay, so we're back and ready to dive even deeper into personal development.
I'm ready. We got my metaphorical scuba gear on.
Me too. And it's fascinating how many different paths there are on this journey, right?
Yeah, there's no one right way to do it.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works for you.
Exactly. And I think that's what's been so cool about all these sources we've been digging into. They all emphasize that individual approach.
Yeah, it's not like a cookie cutter thing.
Right. And I think what resonates most with me so far is how interconnected all these concepts are. Like, you need self-awareness to set effective goals.
Right. But those goals can then push you to build resilience.
And then mindfulness can help you stay focused on those goals. It's all linked together.
Exactly. It's like a web, strengthening one strand makes the whole web stronger.
I like that analogy a lot.
So are you ready to keep weaving?
I am. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, we were just talking about continuous learning before the break.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
And I think it's worth digging a little deeper into, how to actually make that a reality.
Yeah, because it's one thing to say be a lifelong learner, but it's another to actually do it.
Totally. Where do you even start?
Well, one source had this awesome section on learning styles.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
And it turns out not everyone learns the same way. Yeah. Some people are visual learners. Others learn best by doing some need to hear things explained.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach to learning.
Nope. And the key is to figure out what works best for you.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Well, there are quizzes online you can take,
Okay.
but you can also just pay attention to how you naturally gravitate towards information.
Like, do you prefer watching videos or listening to podcasts or reading?
Exactly. Do you like hands-on activities?
So it's about being self-aware of your learning process.
Yes. And once you know your style, you can tailor your learning experiences to be more effective.
That's so smart. It's like, why struggle to learn something in a way that doesn't work for you?
Right. It's about working with your strengths.
Okay, so let's say you've figured out your learning style and you're ready to dive into a new subject or skill. What's next?
Well, this is where the continuous part comes in.
Okay.
One source really emphasized the importance of building a learning habit.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be huge chunks of time. Even just 15-20 minutes a day can make a difference.
That's way less intimidating than I thought.
Right. It's about consistency.
Okay, but what if you don't have any specific skills you're dying to learn?
That's where curiosity comes in.
Oh, like that.
Yeah, challenge yourself to try something new every week.
Like what?
Read an article on a topic you know nothing about. Listen to a podcast in a different genre.
Take a virtual tour of a museum on the other side of the world.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless.
I love that. It's like a little adventure every week.
It is. It's about expanding your horizons.
Okay, but let's be real. Real life gets busy. How do you actually stay consistent with learning when you're juggling work, family, everything else?
That's where planning and prioritization come in.
Ugh, planning.
I know, but it's important.
Okay, fine.
One source suggested scheduling learning time into your calendar just like you would a meeting or appointment.
Like actually blocking out time for it.
Yes. And another one talked about creating a learning space.
Like a designated area where you can focus.
Exactly.
Right.
A place where you can minimize distractions.
Those are some great practical tips.
And remember, learning shouldn't feel like a chore.
Right. It should be something you enjoy.
Exactly. It should be fun and engaging.
One source even talked about the importance of celebrating your learning wins.
Oh, yeah. No matter how small they seem.
Like giving yourself a high five.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging your progress.
Okay, I like that because it's easy to get caught up in the what's next and forget to appreciate how far you've already come.
It's so true. We're often our own worst critics.
Okay, so we've talked about learning styles, building a learning habit, staying curious, even planning and prioritizing.
We've covered a lot of ground.
But there's still so much more to explore, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We've only just scratched the surface.
Okay, so where do we go from here?
Well, I think it's time to shift gears a bit and talk about something we touched on earlier, resilience.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
It is, because life throws some pretty big boulders at us sometimes.
It does.
And knowing how to navigate those challenges is crucial for personal growth.
Okay, so how do we build that resilience?
Well, these sources offer some really insightful perspectives. One that stood out to me was the idea of reframing negative thoughts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's about challenging those automatic negative responses and consciously choosing to focus on the positive.
So it's like taking control of your inner monologue and flipping the script.
Exactly. It's not about ignoring the tough stuff, but about choosing how you react to it.
Okay, that makes sense.
And another source had this great analogy: resilience is like a tree bending in the wind.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's not about being rigid and unyielding.
Right.
It's about being flexible and adapting to the changing circumstances.
So it's about going with the flow.
In a way, yes, it's about learning to bend without breaking.
Okay, that visual really helps.
Good. But let's be honest, building resilience isn't always easy.
No, it's not.
What about those times when you feel completely overwhelmed and like you're about to snap?
Oh yeah, those moments.
That's where self-care comes in.
Self-care, the magic cure-all.
Well, it's not magic, but it is incredibly important.
Okay, why is that?
Because self-care is about prioritizing your physical, emotional, and mental well-being.
So it's not just about bubble baths and face masks.
It can be, but it's also so much more.
Like what?
It's about getting enough sleep, eating nutritious foods, moving your body, connecting with loved ones.
Doing things that bring you joy?
Exactly. Whatever helps you recharge and feel your best.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
It's about taking care of yourself so you can better handle the challenges life throws your way.
But sometimes those self-care practices are the first things to go when life gets crazy.
That's why it's important to make them a non-negotiable part of your routine.
Like brushing your teeth or taking a shower.
Exactly. You wouldn't skip those, would you?
Well, no.
So treat self-care with the same level of importance.
Okay, point taken.
One source even suggested scheduling self-care activities into your calendar.
Again with the scheduling.
I know, but it works.
Okay, fine, I'll give it a try.
I think you'll be surprised at how much of a difference it makes.
I hope so, because I'm definitely feeling the need for some self-care right now after all this personal development talk.
Me too. It's a lot to process, but it's also incredibly inspiring.
It is. It's like a reminder that we have the power to shape our own lives.
Exactly. We're not just passive passengers, we're the drivers.
Okay, I love that analogy.
So are you ready to keep exploring?
I am. There's still so much more to uncover.
Then let's dive back in.
All right, we are back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into personal development.
Cue. Yeah, my brain is officially full.
Mine too. But it's been so fascinating, right?
It really has. It's amazing how much there is to learn about this stuff.
Even stuff you think you already know.
Oh, absolutely. There's always something new to discover.
So much to unpack. And you know, what really stands out to me is that personal development is not about being perfect. It's about this continuous improvement.
That's a great takeaway. It's a journey, not a destination.
Right. And that takes so much pressure off.
Yeah, it does. It's not about reaching some endpoint. It's about constantly evolving.
Exactly. And I also love how all these sources emphasize finding what works best for you.
Like your learning style, your self-care routine, your approach to managing emotions.
Yeah, not one size fits all.
And one of the sources actually criticizes those like generic self-help lists. Yeah. You know, the ones that promise to like transform your life in 10 easy steps.
Oh yeah, those.
They argue that true personal growth is a deeply individual journey.
Which makes sense because we're all starting from different places.
Right, with different goals and challenges.
But then where does that leave us if there's no magic formula?
Mm-hmm.
How do we actually apply all this knowledge?
And make meaningful changes.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
It is. And one source had this really interesting framework.
Oh, yeah.
They called it the action cycle.
Okay, interesting.
And it starts with identifying a specific area you want to work on.
All right.
Then setting a clear goal, breaking it down into smaller steps, actually taking action, reflecting on the results, and then adjusting your approach based on what you've learned.
So it's not just about setting a goal and hoping for the best. It's about consistently, like, checking in with yourself and making tweaks along the way.
Exactly. They emphasize that setbacks are inevitable.
Oh, sure.
But it's how you respond to those setbacks that determines your success.
So it's like that whole resilience thing we were talking about.
It ties right back in. It's not about avoiding challenges. It's about having the tools and the mindset to navigate them.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together,
Good. Because it's all interconnected.
but it still feels a little abstract.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples of what this action cycle looks like in real life?
Sure. Let's say your goal is to improve your communication skills.
Okay.
You might start by identifying a specific area where you struggle, like public speaking.
Okay, that's a good one.
Then you set a SMART goal, like joining a Toastmasters group and giving a speech within 3 months.
Right, specific and measurable.
Exactly. And then you break it down into smaller steps, like attending meetings, practicing your speech, getting feedback. And then you take action, you actually deliver that speech, and then you reflect on how it went.
And adjust your approach for next
Right,
time.
exactly. You're constantly learning and evolving.
Wow. That actually makes it seem a lot more manageable.
It is. It's about breaking it down into bite-sized pieces.
But what about motivation? You know, it's easy to get excited about a new goal at first, but how do you stay motivated over the long haul?
Especially when things get tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a common struggle.
So how do you overcome it?
Well, that's where tapping into your why comes in.
Your why?
Yeah. Why is this goal important to you? What will achieving it mean for your life?
Oh, I see.
Really connecting with that deeper purpose can fuel your motivation even when you're facing obstacles.
So it's not just about what's the specific goal, it's about the why, the underlying motivation.
Exactly. You got to have that strong foundation.
I like that a lot. And one source even suggested creating a vision board or writing a personal mission statement.
Oh, I love that idea. Something you can refer back to when you need a boost.
Like a visual reminder of what you're working towards.
Exactly. It can be really powerful.
But let's be real. Sometimes life throws those curveballs. You know, the ones that completely derail your plans.
It happens to all of us.
So how do you stay committed to personal development when everything feels chaotic and uncertain?
Well, that's where flexibility and adaptability come in.
Oh, yeah. Going with the flow.
Exactly. It's about accepting that things won't always go according to plan.
And being willing to adjust course.
Exactly. One source even suggested embracing the unexpected.
Like seeing it as an opportunity for growth rather than a setback.
Yeah. Turn those lemons into lemonade.
I love that. All right, so as we wrap up this deep dive, we've covered so much.
From self-awareness to goal setting to resilience, mindfulness, emotional intelligence.
It's been an incredible journey.
It really has. And remember, personal development isn't about reaching some finish line. It's about constantly evolving and becoming the best version of yourself.
And the journey is just as rewarding as the destination.
So true. And it's a journey that looks different for everyone.
The key is to find what works for you, stay curious, and never stop learning and growing.
Beautifully said. We hope this deep dive has given you some tools and inspiration to keep going on your own unique personal development journey.
And remember, even small, consistent steps can lead to incredible transformations over time.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep growing. You've got this.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.